stitches. I'm just going to carefully. So the next part of this pattern is actually making the shirt. And I searched high and low for something that was comparable to, I made some pants, some culottes. I think that's the word they still use, out of this fabric. And so I found this, which was a perfect match. I don't think I could use that pattern with this type of fabric and pull it off effectively as I would like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to underline it with this fabric. So it's just going to be the bodice pieces, and then the sleeve and the ruffles will be made out of this. So it's either that. So I also have this white here. I don't know how much of it I have, but I'm just looking for something to underline this fabric here. And so what I do is I lay the sheer fabric on top of the two colors just to see kind of what I get. And I definitely am liking this color because this is the pants. I'm definitely liking this versus the white. I think the white washes the flowers out. Yeah, you see that? So see how dark this flower is if I put it up on the white. Look at that. The white just washes it out, so this color is more appropriate. So I probably won't be able to film all of this, but I'll get as much as I can. So I'm examining what I have here. So I have a little piece up here. I have a selvage over here, and then I have selvage over on this side. So in order to make sure that my pieces are going to be flush, I'm going to go ahead. First, gotta see if I can rip this. I think I can. Yep. So I'm taking this all the way down. So that's what was cut off. So I don't need these pieces. So now when I fold this, pieces are flying. Also got this piece right here, so I got to make sure that this goes on the inside because this is inside. If this was on the selvage, I would ignore it, but so that means that so this is the right side, this is the inside. So to remember that, I am going to mark it with some chalk so that whatever piece I cut out, I have to remember that this is the inside. And I can get more. If I fold it in two pieces, let's see if I can get all the pieces out of one fold. I'm going to pin my edges because I don't want them to move. So we need the back piece. I don't think so. I think I was wishful thinking. This is a fold. I don't think I'm going to get it. Can we get it? So this goes here. Let's move this piece over here, and I think I could go upside down because it's going to be, this is underlining that piece there, and this piece here. Let's take that backwards. Okay, maybe I can get it. So I'm going to use the bottom. There we go. My straight pins do not like this fabric. Just checking and make sure I can get this on grain. All the way down. Just checking the gray line. Right, that's good. So I might not be able to go all the way to the bottom. So that's there. And this is the back seam. Okay. This is going to work. So I'm going to go ahead and get these cut out. With underlining, two pieces become one. If it was going to be one piece, what I would do is I would sew this together, sew the under part together, and then sew the outside together, and then combine them. And then that would have, like, this would serve as a lining with this as the outside fabric. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to make this one piece. Okay, here it is, 3 hours later, and everything is cut out. And I just have barely enough. Well, no, I have more than enough. Like, if I mess up, I have nothing. So this is kind of like has to be it. So I wanted to show I am doing the facing. You know, while I'm here, let me show you all the pieces I have together. So here's the front. And I have to make sure that this is smoothed out because you don't want there to be any puckers in here when you sew everything together. So I got the front, and then I have all the sides, see, all hand basted together. All of them are up there. And then I have the sleeve here. So the sleeve is going to be one layer, and then I have the flounce. Have to cut out the flounce 4 times because that is going to be, you have to sew 2 together to get that flounce. And so I'm going to put that over to the side. So to get the facing, so I have the end piece here. I have straightened. I have got the grain line together. And so what I did was, instead of trying to cut the facing out on the fabric and then interfacing it, and I decided not to block interface it just in case, you know, I might need something to patch somewhere. So I cut everything out with on the interfacing. So here is the this is going to be the back of the yoke, and so glue side down. Good. This is going to go into the back, and I do not know why this is not cut on the fold, but I'm so used to this pattern being cut on the fold, but it shouldn't be. This piece should be cut in the fold. So I have the iron heating up, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to interface it like this anywho, and then I will cut it later. So I just want to make sure that I am on grain. I'm using my mat underneath here, and then I'll have the bottom piece here, and this will go around like such. There we go. Now I'm going to cut this, and then get this over to the pressing board so that it can be pressed. So I'm working on what I would consider the hard parts first. And static galore. Whew. So I have 2 pieces here and 2 pieces here, right sides facing, and I'm going to just go ahead and pin these together just to hold them together so that I know that these are ready to go. And even on this one right here, pin together. So there, these two pieces are ready to go. So I'm going to sew the seam allowance here, and then all the way around the curve, I got to do a tiny hem. So my phone, I'm out of storage, so I'm going to go ahead and finish this up so that I can finish this part of the video up. So hopefully, not hopefully, I am going to be finishing this up tomorrow because I have the sleeves. Everything is ready, just has to be put together, and I got to fix the hem, and then I have to finalize. I have to shore up my pattern because I noticed some issues that I've had in making this. So until then, talk to you later. Loves. Okay, sewing friends, so I am back. Let me get down off this ladder. And I've tried on the top before I did any serging of the seams or sewing up everything. So here is this is the back. We have the front here, and so on the inside you can see that it is horribly fraying everywhere. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my table, and the first thing I need to do is I need to press these seams. So see how I always use the word bubble seams. So right now I have the bubble seams going on. So I need to go and press these seams, and then once the seams are pressed, I will go ahead and finish them as I did the back seam. But I'm not going to separate. I'm not going to separate the seams here because there's not going to be any future alterations. So in the back, I'm going to serge the seams together, and then in the front, I am going to serge the seams together until about right here. So I'm going to go ahead and clip this on both of them, because then at that point I want to do I want to serge each side seam separately. So I'm going to right here. So I did sew down the front end on both sides, and I had to take those stitches out last night. So now it is ready. And so after I get everything pressed, then I'm going to serge my seams, and then I shall be back. As I said, here in the front, I've made the two single serging and then opened up the seams here for the side seams. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to insert the sleeve, and I'm going to insert the sleeve flat. Because it can. I always try. So we have the front here and the back over here. Get rid of. So I'm looking at my sleeves. So this is the finished side is up, and I'm looking at my notch. This is the back, so that goes on this side. And here is the other sleeve. This is the top, and we have single and double. And I always double check because I've actually finished sleeves on the wrong side. Then you have to cut them or put something new in. So now I'm going to go here and I'm going to get some clips. I did use pins on this project, but I find that clips are better. I don't have to worry about something getting pinched. There are dots here, but I didn't mark them. But I am going to see if I can get away. Let me see if I mark them on this side over here. So I have a notch right here. Okay, that lined up, and then I'm looking for the double notch here. That is lining up. Make sure my seam, my shoulder seam is going to the back. There we go. One side. So I'll do the other, and then I'm going to go and sew the seam, and then I'm going to serge, and then I'll come back. All right, sleeves are on, and it's absolutely beautiful. Now I need to get this, what is this called? Oh my gosh, the facing. So the facing is 3 pieces. Here is one side that'll go here on the back. This side will go on the back here, and the front part will go around. So once you once you have the facing sewn together and you have the seams pressed, the next thing you want to do is on the outside, you want to finish the seam because you don't want to leave a raw edge. According to the instructions, what they're saying to do is to fold it twice, or fold it once, fold it twice. They're saying fold twice, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to serge around the edge. And if you do not want to fold it under because it adds thickness, you can also do pinking shears, or if you don't have pinking shears, you can do a zigzag stitch all the way around the edge. Okay, so I have finished the edges of my facing, and before I put the facing on, make sure you pick out your buttons. So I have 2 small pearl essence, pearl opulence, I'm not sure what the word is, and I'm going to add the buttons to the top. So I need to consider the seam allowance. So I'm going to get my marking pen and a seam gauge so that we can be sure we're going to have a seam allowance. So that's going to be our seam allowance. So I'm sure there's marking on the pattern as to where to put the buttons. Let me see if that's true. Where could it have gone? Must have fell down and slid somewhere. Okay. Oh, we'll just make do. So on the back, so I have my seam allowance, and so once this is folded over, make sure that you can see in the midst of everything that's going on here. So here's the seam allowance. So we should probably put a button here, and then probably put a button right there. That is where I think I want my buttons to go. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to mark, because it's going to have to be right there, and then this one is going to go right here. And so which side shall we put the button on, and which side shall we put the button loop on? So I am going to put the button on this side, which means the button loop goes on the opposite side. So now I have to line these up. I'm going to forward it so I can see. I can't see the place where I'm putting the button. Put some pins in there so I can see. So now I'm going to fold this. Can get the seam allowance, and I'm going to have this end here. So now I'm going to put right here, and right here. So I don't want a big loop, but I want it to be long so that I don't have to worry about things being too small, especially when I got these acrylics on. So I'm going to take these, and so my loop is going to be small because remember, this is how big the button is. And so when it gets underneath there, yeah, so it's going to be like that. So this is going to be my stitch line right here. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to lie it here. I'm going to clip it. Huh? It's the best way to do this. I do not want to tie it. I've done that before and I didn't like the results. So I'm just going to hold it in my hand and I'm just going to go over, and where it gets stitched to, I'm going to keep those, keep it pretty close so that it forms a little circle. So now I'm going to take the facing and I'm going to start with the back. And clip everything together down this end. And then go all the way around and then open this one up to stitch this side. And so you want to make sure that your side seams are aligned. Actually, I'm going to put a pin through it. I'm going to sew over that seam like that. I should do it the same for over here, just to make sure that my seam is lined. See, it's a little bit off. There you go. And put that together. I should have marked the center front, but I think I forgot. Yep, I know I forgot. There, now we have apples to apples. So now I'm going to stitch around this and then understitch. So what I'm doing is layering my seam allowance. I should have layered it before I cut the notches in it. So now this, turn this out. Going to make sure that is, find that corner, put it out there. There it goes, one corner. other corner. And then I'm sure some clipping will have to happen here. So when this comes in on itself, there's a lot going on here. So I will just clip that seam to release some of that tension. Still pretty thick here. So I'm going to go ahead and clip into the facing. I just want this to lie flat. All right. I'm going to thin this as well. Now when understitching, when it gets to these tight areas, you won't be able to do it with the sewing machine. And so if you really want to make sure that you understitch the entire collar, you'll have to do some by machine and then do the rest by hand. That's what I do. So I thin that out. So now when I fold it in, there, that feels a lot better. That feels a lot better. All that thickness has been disappeared. So I'm going to understitch by machine, and then in some places where I can't understitch by machine, I don't know, I should be able to get it. I'm not going to worry about the corners too much. I'm going to use a pin to slightly draw those corners out. All right, let's do it. So now it is to do the side seam. So I'm going to match up my sleeves here. Hopefully I'm in view. So you got to remember you have some of the sleeve here, so you want to connect that carefully. And then because I didn't cut the fabric out properly, so I'm laying it down flat, and I'm going to also put a pin in here. I'm going to have to trim all that on the side because my whole bottom is uneven. And once I firm this up, then I will know how much to fix my pattern. Well, my patterns don't need fixing. I just did not cut the fabric out properly. So all my hems are uneven, but I am going to power through anyway. All this gets matched up on the side. And then after this is sewn together, I'm going to serge it. I'm not serging the underarm seam. I am going to serge that by hand. I just don't want that, I don't want that thread to be up there like that. Okay, and this side, okay. So I have this done. So my seam, so this is the front and this is the back. And after I get everything sewn, here is the front. Oh, and I'm seeing, okay, wait a minute. I did have the opening. Woo! The opening is the right. I just didn't open this up right here. So this is still closed. I thought my openings were lopsided. And so then I'm going to, so the front is looking good, but on the back, I'm all kinds of wonky. And so how I'll fix this is I will measure I'll measure this side, and then firm it up at the bottom. So I'm going to stitch, serge, stitch and serge, and then I'm going to make this even all the way around, and then I'm going to serge, and then when it comes to the front, so I'm going to serge all this. When it comes to the front, on the outside, I will top stitch everything around. So I'll start on the side, go all the way around here, up, crossover, down, stitch, here, up, crossover, down, stitch, all the way around, and it'll be done. Oh, and I also have to serge my sleeves. I forgot to do that. Actually, I'm going to do that before I close them up. Okay. All right, that is the end of my little sewing video. See you in the next one. And here is the final blouse. Absolutely love this. And because of the sheer flounce here, it doesn't look as full as it does in a cotton. So I will definitely have to make this in a cotton. But here is the flounce. Oh, let me get the sleeves out. And then the sleeve is there. Maybe that adds a little bit more curl. And here's the other side. Make sure that sleeve is out. Yep. Absolutely adorable. So here's the back view. There are the buttons, princess seams. So it's closed up in the back. And if I can spin. And I absolutely love this design. So I only went around one time with the hemming. I was going to do 2 lines. I thought that would be really, really nice. But after I thought about it, I'm like, you know what? Quit while I'm ahead. Because everything right now is perfect. And the last thing I need to do is do something and the stitches go off and then I have to unpick it and then now I'm ripping something. And so I think I rip something from my garments every project. This one, where is it at? I was serging, and there it goes right here. There's the patch. If you've seen my video of how I patch up holes. I was serging and this piece got caught. Luckily, it did not tear the sheer fabric, but it did attach the underlining, so it didn't rip a chunk off. It just kind of sliced it. So I was able to put it together, put my stitch witchery on there, put some of the fabric and seal it up. And so eventually, you know, that'll curl, and then I'll just keep trimming it until I don't even notice it anymore. So that is the dress. Not the dress. It will make a fantastic dress, but I'm really excited how this turned out. All right, ladies, thanks for watching. Loves. And ladies and gentlemen, there she is in all her beautifulness. Done and done. So that makes 2. I'm wondering if I should make 1 more, because I really do love this. I'm thinking maybe keeping the flounce. So here's the thing. I can make this top without the flounce and just have the sleeves, or I can get rid of the sleeve and just have the flounce. The possibilities, I mean, this is definitely a keeper. I'm going to keep this. I love this pattern.